Welcome to the Humboldt Network of Family Resource Centers Tech Workshop. This is the first workshop on Google Mail. So let's start by accessing Google Mail. To begin, you'll go into your website bar here at the top. You'll see what I've highlighted right now, and you'll type in mail.google.com. Enter. Now you'll see a sign-in asking for your email. Your email with the Humboldt Network of Family Resource Centers will be your first name followed by your last name. So for example, I am volunteer1 at HNFRC.org. I'll press next. Now it will ask for my password. When you first get your email from the Humboldt Network of Family Resource Centers, an administrator will provide you with a password. If you do not know it, contact your administrator. Once you have your password, you'll input it there, and you'll press sign in. Right after you sign into your Google Mail account, this will be your main panel, which is your inbox. On the left-hand side of the inbox, you'll see your labels, what you would know of as folders. Your labels, first off, is your inbox, followed by the label starred right here. Well, what does starred mean? Starred means that if you liked a piece of mail or you think it's important, want to check back on it later, make it extra special, you can go to any piece of mail, how about this one right here at the top, and click a star, and it'll add it to your starred label. That way you can refer back to it later. It will also leave it in your inbox, which is good. Going down, you have your sent mail, you have your drafts. The way that Google Mail works for drafts is that every time you're writing any mail in Google, it will save it automatically. So if you go offline or the power cuts out, it'll be saved the last time that you had an internet connection. So I can go into my drafts, see the last thing I was working on, click it, and work on it. Down here, I also have mail labeled as important, which I can decide to make these folders as I want. I have mail for chats. I have all mail, which is like an archive. I don't use all mail myself, but you're welcome to if you want to move things out of your inbox and keep them in an archive folder. That's a way to do it. You have your spam, you have your trash. Let's go back to the inbox. When we're in our inbox and we get mail, we want to know how to sort it and how to filter it. So the first thing that we can do, let's say we are looking at this letter right here from Mark Weller. We can decide that we want to archive it. Again, I told you I don't like to do that. I like to leave things in my inbox, but you're welcome to. We could also decide to delete it if we think it's important. We could decide to move it to, let's say, well, you know what? Let's create a new label. We can call this label Messages from Mark. And now we'll move that into our Messages from Mark section. So maybe if you have a manager or a coworker that you work closely with, you might want to create a label just for the messages that you get from them. Let's look at another letter here. We also have options about where we can denote this letter. So we can say, do we want to mark it as unread? Maybe we did read it for a second, but we want to go back and read it again. So we say, okay, mark as unread. We could add a star to it, like you saw over here, where you make it a starred one and you say it's important. Or you can say, filter messages like these, where you say, hey, if I get a message like this, what do I want to do to it? So if I get a message from no reply at google.com, and I can say create a filter with this search. Well, when I get a message from them, maybe I get a bunch and they're pretty much just spam. So I can say skip the inbox, just archive it. Or I can say, you know what, I'd like to have it for record, but I don't think I ever need to really read them, so I can just say mark as read. Or maybe it's a very important one that comes from your manager or another close coworker, so you can star it right away. Or even apply the label and move it to that folder. Once you've got your configuration, however you want it set up, you can go ahead and create your filter. Now, as a last thing, next to the button here for creating your filter, you can select this box, which says we're applying it to matching conversations. That means that that new filter will apply to all the other mail that you've gotten in the past, not just mail that you get in the future. So that's a cool button to click. So I'll say create the filter. Now I can go there, and any letters from that email address will go into the folder that I designated it for. So that's kind of how labels work. They're similar to folders. They're really a way of tagging mail and sorting it so that it's efficient for you to use. Some people like to keep everything in their inbox and have no other labels, and that's just fine. Other people like to have very structured labeling systems. So there are options there for everyone. Now let's move into our settings. We'll go to the top right-hand corner of this page, and there is a cog. If you scroll over it, it says settings. Let's go ahead and click on that. And we will go to the actual settings tab about 2/3 of the way down, and we'll click on that. Now these are the settings for the entirety of Google Mail. The general settings is the first tab that we land on. I'm going to skip a lot of these for now, but the ones that are of major importance to you will be your signature right here, where I can decide, hey, I want to use signature in all of my emails. So when I send a signature, I'd like it to say my name, maybe my phone number, and maybe my email. Here we are. What I'll do is I'll go down to the bottom, I'll click Save Changes, and now when I go back to compose a letter, I open that up, and there's my signature right there. I'm going to delete this letter. I'm going to go back to settings again, so I'll click on that cog in the top right-hand corner and go back to settings. Now, off of this list right here, I will click on, let's see, accounts and import. There are a couple of options here. The main one that I want you to look at is import mail and contacts. So a way that that works is you can decide to have an email address that you own elsewhere forward its mail to you. So let's say I have 5 work emails for whatever reason, and I only really want to use them out of one inbox. Well, you can import mail and contacts from other sources from your other email accounts into one. For some people, this is great and efficient. For other people, this is scary and they would never think of it, but at least you have the option to do it if you would like. Another option, the next one down, send mail as. So an option here is that you can decide to have an alias for your email account where multiple email addresses will end up in the same inbox. So my default email is volunteer1@hnfrc.org. However, I could talk to my manager and I could have them add an alias for me like service@hnfrc.org, which would be an appropriate email address to show on a public-facing website, even though the end user is going to be me. What I'll do is I'll click add another email address that you own. I'll add in, once I know that I have that alias set up for me by my manager, service@hnfrc.org, and I'll click on next steps. What that'll do is that'll send me an email, I'll verify it, and then I will go ahead and be able to send any mail I'd like as either volunteer1 or as service@hnfrc.org. I'll also receive mail as both. You can move then on the next level into your filters and blocked addresses. The filters we just looked at a minute ago. You know how we set up the filter for receiving mail from plus.google.com at that no reply address and applying it to the label messages from Mark? Well, here it's documented. We can go here and say, let's edit that. And now I want to say, you know what? I want that to be from admin@hnfrc.org, not the no reply. So I'll edit that, I'll continue. I still think it should go to messages from Mark. Very good. Or maybe I decide, you know what, this filter is not right for me. So I'm going to go ahead and delete it. So I can delete it right here on the right-hand side. Now, the next tab over is adding forwarding and POP or IMAP options to your account. These are more advanced features. The idea here is that you could forward email from this account out to another account. If you want to do that for something, please speak with your manager, ask them if that's appropriate, and they can let you know. And your manager should be trained on how to set up a forwarding address when it is appropriate. Apart from that, those are the basic elements of Google Mail. The last thing we'll look at is how you actually write a letter. So I'm going to go to this red box here from the main panel and click Compose. I open up, I have my admin, let's say that's my to box, who I'm sending it to. I put in my subject, I put in my content. And then down beneath that, at this bottom bar, you have all the different settings that you can use. You can attach files. You can insert files using Google Drive, which we'll talk about later. That's kind of your internal file system that you hold online in the cloud. You can send and request money. That's a very advanced feature. We can talk about that another time. But you can insert photos, you can insert links, you can insert smiley faces, and you can click this drop-down box over here on the far right-hand corner that says More Options. You can label things, you name it. So those are the many options that you can get with this. You can also click on the far left, Formatting Options, and you can change things like making font bold or making characters larger, making things have different colors. Once you're ready, you send your email and off you go. That wraps it up for Google Mail. Next, we will talk about Google Contacts and Google Calendar. From Google Mail, if we go to the top left-hand corner here, just next to the logo, you'll see a drop-down from Mail, and you can click on Contacts. So now you know how to get from your mail to the next part of our lesson, which will be in the contact section. Thank you very much.